meeting to order. Phyllis, could we have roll call? Here.
Bill Carbot.
Here.
Ken Meyer.
Here. You're all emailed a copy of the minutes from November 19th. If you've had a chance to review those minutes, I'd look for a motion to either approve or amend the minutes.
Make a motion to approve as emailed.
Second. Motion and a second for approval of the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. First thing we need to do is make a matter of record the publication of the advertisement for bidding on the fire engine / rescue truck. Make that a matter of record.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. So the first thing on the agenda then is to open the bids for the new fire truck / rescue truck. Truck.
Before you talk about it, just for a minute, I need to thank the truck committee that they were really diligent about.
Who was your truck committee?
Mr. Mitch Bauman here kind of headed the committee up, and it was made up of a couple volunteers, Jay Cook and Tim Dimer. What we really tried to do was put this, Mitch and he, Chad,
Jeff, Taylor.
What we really tried to do was kind of take a hands-off for the older and let the young guys kind of put this truck together. They were really diligent about, the research, and it's probably been ongoing, probably a 2-year project of research, and just to make the board works a little aware before we open this. This is not a typical fire truck as we've done in the past. This is our goal was to combine 2 pieces of equipment, 2 rolling chassis into one truck that would safely and efficiently serve the Decatur community for what we hope is the next 25 to 30 years. So, it's kind of bigger, and hopefully that this is going to be something that, like I said, we're combining 2 vehicles, and so.
So are you going to eliminate 2 vehicles?
We're going to eliminate.
We're taking 2 into 1.
Taking 2 into 1. So.
But the 2 that you have now will.
The '89 Ford. We'll look at marketing that.
Ford engine is a pumper.
It's an engine pumper, and then a dry rescue that was purchased used from a Voight. It's a 91, so looking at replacing an 89 engine and a 91 rescue, and combine all that into one truck. And a couple of the goals were safety, efficiency, and also to eliminate one truck.
I guess my question was, your inventory will go down by one.
By one truck.
Yeah.
And create some space in the station for some other things that are blocked in behind.
More toys.
And not having to respond with multiple vehicles and trailers in the back of pickup trucks, and try and get all of this into one truck. So that was our goal, and I think the guys have been diligent about putting together, hopefully, a spec that it's going to meet that long term. So with that, I guess one other thing, a little different than we've done in the past, is I sort of tasked the guys with, we're not going to build a truck around a certain dollar amount. So this is going to be as big a surprise to everybody, because I basically told them that put the truck together for what you feel like we're going to need for the next 30 years, and don't worry about putting it in a budget. So that's where we're at, is build a truck that we feel we need, don't build it around the dollar amount per se.
How much you think, Mitch?
My guess?
Yeah, I already asked Les.
My guess is 850, but it's a guess. I don't know.
Got a guess? Okay. All right.
Find out.
That seems to be the going rate.
So that's...
Have at it, Tim.
Just thanks to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, all the guys that, on the committee that helped.
Okay, which one is Pierce Manufacturing, or is that the bidder?
That is the manufacturer.
The manufacturer, and it's McQueen Emergency Group out of Whitestown, Indiana. Okay. Form 96 is submitted. It's properly signed.
Pricing page.
I know. I'm just checking to make sure the bid bond's there. Bid bond is included in the amount of 5% of the bid. The bid is $774,900.
How about them apples?
Better than I expected.
Better than we expected.
I think it's first for me in 4 years. Something's coming in under what we thought was going to.
If I may suggest to the board that we have ample time to review.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is the only bid submitted? Is that correct?
Yeah, so you want a motion to take this under advisement for review?
I would encourage that because...
Did it meet all your criteria for the legal
Yes.
portion of the bid?
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we allow the department heads to take that under advisement. I don't know, how long does it take for you to look that thing over?
That's... Yeah, you've got plenty of time, so if you wish, are you talking about coming back at the next meeting or yet today?
What was it, Phil? 774?
By the 13th, I would...
By the 17th?
How long's the bid good for?
It's good for generally 60 days, so there's not a problem.
So we're not in a rush?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be a minimum 30 days.
You seconded? I did.
Okay.
And last time I checked, this company was 14 months out when you turn in your order. Being the end of the year, that may have increased, we don't know.
Okay.
So, you want longer?
No, I think it's plenty, with only one to go over, I think we should be able to get that for you, just to make sure it's right.
Okay.
So Phyllis and I will need to have a little funds meeting anyways in that time. So,
Yeah, we want to make sure we have adequate funds to cover the contract.
Yes. So if we would for some reason run into something before the 17th, but we'll try to have it by the next.
Okay. Is that mic on? Microphone? Nope. Now we gotta start all over. No, it's the red button on the side there. Push it in, hold it. There. Tap it now. Batteries? Take it out of there and see if, when you push the button, see if the light comes on.
Hold for 2 seconds. Now it's on.
Now it's on? It's not,
It's not staying.
unless the batteries are in that podium right there, if you want to change the batteries in. Okay, that all you got, Les?
I believe so. It's probably enough.
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Okay, we got a motion.
I made a motion and then...
Bill seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Take that under advisement and get a good look over, and if we can report again on the 17th, that'd be great. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All you firemen, you can hang around for the next couple hours here until we're done if you want.
I gotta get back on the show.
Jeremy, let's do your quotes now. Help him out.
I'm not spending as much money.
That's good.
Put batteries in the right way.
No matter which one you want to do, they're all stacked up.
I don't care. I would say start with the building, wouldn't you? Or not? You got it backwards, Les?
Yeah.
Jeremy has quotes for the concession/restroom building, along with the plumbing work, the electrical work, and also, I think, a pavilion, all at Hannah Nutman.
Live now.
Thanks, Les.
Okay, what we've done here is working with the designer. On the concession stand, restroom, pavilion buildings, went through the design process, created the drawing, the specs and everything for that, set it off for a design release through the state. At the same time, we solicited quotes, advertised, or not really advertised, because according to the purchasing ordinance, it didn't require it, but invited 3 people to quote on a project. The first quote is from Arnold Lumber in Decatur. Also, I invited Campbell's to quote. He denied it. And then also, I was in contact with Extreme Builders. Extreme contacted them a few times. They never responded. When Arnold Lumber turned their quote in, they also submitted a quote from their other store. So I don't...
Like competing stores, huh?
Yeah, I don't...
Interesting.
They're sealed. I have no idea what they show. All these quotes here tonight do not require to be sealed. I have them sealed because there's locals competing against each other. That way it keeps us out of the finger pointing and puts it all on Mr. Baker.
And that's the basic print of the building.
That's the inside, the basic print
Yeah.
of it. So your first quote is from Arnold Lumber.
Okay.
And basically what this is, so everybody can see, is this would be the back section. The front's like a front porch area. There's a serving window there, obviously restroom areas in through here. What this quote consists of this evening is construction of the exterior building, the exterior shell, doors, windows, roof. It's not in interior finishes.
Interior walls, framed?
Interior walls, framed.
Framed interior walls, but no drywall on them.
Right.
Okay, this is submitted by Arnold Lumber out of Decatur.
Is this the price for one building, or is this the price for 2 buildings?
I asked them to price both buildings. Once I see the price, I can tell you roughly for sure it's going to be for one of them.
The price quoted is $29,250.
Sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's... Here it is.
Sounds like one.
There's one.
That's got to be one building, right?
This is second quote is from Shockman Lumber out of St. Henry, Ohio.
How do you spell Shockman?
Schockman.
That's one building.
The concrete being, that was done, that's a separate quote, right?
Correct. That's for a donation
Yep.
with the city purchasing and paying for the material.
The quote from Schockman Lumber is $33,975. $33,975.
Okay, so with that, Jeremy, you want to take these under some advisement until, I think what Jeremy and I talked this morning, tomorrow morning, Hannah Nutman Committee is meeting, and you wanted to get permission from the Board of Works that if the Hannah Nutman Committee saw everything fit to proceed, to accept.
Yeah, and you're only getting started. There's more to
But do you want to do the,
process.
do you want to do all in one motion?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think it probably easier. There's your other two.
So this is
Okay, this will be a 30 by 40 by 9 open pavilion,
30 by,
40 by 9. Same stipulations, invited the same people, had the same response.
Okay, so this is for the open pavilion. The first bid is submitted by Arnold Lumber out of Decatur, Indiana.
what's the dimensions of that concession stand?
What's that?
What's the dimensions of that concession stand?
32 by 54, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
That is for, I believe it's 32 by 54.
The quote submitted by Arnold Lumber is $9,300. 9300. Okay, that's...
You can
That's-
explain them all right there if you want to show.
Oh, you're gonna, okay. The second is, quote for the open pavilion is submitted by Schockman Lumber out of St. Henry, Ohio. Quote submitted is $10,550. 10550.
Also follow the same motion on that one.
What's that?
Okay.
We'll all include all this in one motion.
Yeah.
So the next thing is,
The next one will be the electrical for the building. Invited Blakey Electric, Rourke Electric, and Keys. Keys failed to submit. So you have Blakey and Rourke.
Okay, for the electric bid, the first bid to be open, or not bid, but quote, is submitted by Blakey Electric out of Decatur, Indiana.
Some of those may have some options, Tim, if you just read off.
Yeah, it's...
Is this for the concession stands then? Yes. Is there any electrical in the pavilion or not? No. Okay.
Okay, the quote is $24,995. 24995. And there's an add-on for 3 exhaust fans of $2,345.
Good so far.
does that say there's a price for both buildings?
That would just be for one.
That's one building. Electric so much as the building.
2,345. The second quote submitted for the electrical work is submitted by Rorik Electric out of Decatur. Electrical wiring for 2 concession stands, $60,000.
Your next phase would be the plumbing, Baker and Sons and Andrews Plumbing. Walters failed to bid.
I mean, they took the bid packet and just got too much work, we don't want to do it.
Either or. You don't know.
First quote open is submitted by Baker and Sons out of Decatur. The quote is $15,600 per building, or a total of $31,200.
Sounding good so far.
Second quote is submitted by Andrews Plumbing out of Decatur, Indiana. Two concession buildings, total $46,120.30. 46,120.30.
That will complete the hand.
So explain what you want to...
Okay, I would like for you guys to give us permission when we meet in the morning to review. I review most of these tonight, sit down and review them in the morning when we have a progress meeting. If you would just give us permission, as long as the numbers are in line, everything's in order, give permission for Ken and I to proceed.
You think that they all look
Yeah.
lower
I
than
just have
you...
to go through them,
Yeah.
So you're talking about the low quote on each
That's
one?
the low quote on each one, correct?
You're asking for approval of the low quote on each of the projects, subject to confirmation and funds are available.
Yep, no word, correct word.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, Jeremy.
And then we have this, you want to do the sewer quotes while I'm here?
Sure.
Okay. Switching over to the sewer quotes, we have some sewer repairs that we've talked about in the past, that we found during our many trips up and down the alleys cleaning sewers. We have a pretty bad problem behind Yvonne Marie's antique mall in the back alley along the courthouse, or the courthouse post office area. It's a very kind of a complex sewer due to the room that you have in there.
The green line, is that the sewer?
Yep, this would be the line that would need to be replaced. It has a lot of infiltration. We've looked at several ways of trying to patch it, fix it. It's just not going to be fixable. For several months, we've talked with different contractors about getting numbers to replace that line. They've looked at it, they've looked at different options, they've all agreed to replacing that's going to be our best option. We've talked with Bunn out of Fort Wayne, we've talked with Burkott's out of Fort Wayne, and Greg Fleming. In the end, Bunn and Greg Fleming quoted the job. not knowing what the cost is going to be, we sealed them to, according to the purchasing ordinance. So I'm going to give these two to Mr. Baker.
So where that, up the top where it veers off, it's just going from Jefferson Street up to that point?
That's a tap that goes up through there.
Okay.
We don't know where it goes for sure.
But that's all further, you're replacing it, is up where that tap is?
That last man only feeds up the screen is where it would stop the water.
Okay.
So it's not a real long stretch, it's just very complex due to the room and stuff that's there.
Deep,
Is it deep?
Very, very deep.
every joint on that line is separated. Every joint.
That is where we found a bypass in a line that somebody put in there at one point that we talked about earlier on in the spring. To keep the water out of basements downtown. So you can about imagine what kind of problems, what kind of condition that line's in.
Okay, so this is a repair project, a sewer repair project. The first quote is submitted by Bunn. Total price, $72,342. 72342. Second quote is submitted by Fleming out of Decatur, Indiana.
Does this get out to Court Street? That was my question.
No. Basically gets up to about the last panel, which
About 30 feet from
would be about right there, so it's about 30 feet from port, because see, when they come around in the sewer separation, they came around on the corner.
So that's a new pipe that we're going to tie into there.
They didn't do
Craig, what
anything.
goes north out of that manhole,
Yeah.
Court Street will be eliminated. It doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, so it's a dead
It's
end?
out into Court Street and it's cut off.
It's a dead end then, it'll just flow to the south and to the...
It's just pipe that's sucking water in right now, it doesn't need to be there.
Okay.
So it will not-
Sorry to interrupt.
Nope. Quote submitted by Fleming Excavating is $61,830. 61830.
Is that in the quotes?
Jen,
I believe.
Devon, where
The smell of the basement flooding. It's all going along with our agreed order with ICANN.
I make a motion that we have Jeremy take those quotes under advisement and make a decision on...
you got another one also, right?
Oh, is this a...
This is another quote for another alley, so go.
Yeah. I was thinking that's fine.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Jeremy to take the alley quote from running between Jefferson and up near Court Street under advisement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
The next quote that we've been trying to get here, same situation, Bunn and Fleming. Burkott refused, or not really refused, just passed on it. It's the alley just north of Jefferson, between 5th and 6th. Kind of visualize where Swiggert's apartments are here. Rita Swiggert. Back in this whole alley, we've had a lot of trouble with different unknowns, with a lot of debris and water and stuff coming off of Madison, coming back this way.
That's
Kind of the same situation with a lot of joints,
so it's kind of backwards, isn't it? I guess.
a lot of separations on the in the sewer itself.
There's actually a chunk of that pipe missing about 4 foot long. I can show you pictures, but...
So these are not sealed quotes because due to the cost. I got the first one from Fleming for $37,349.
How much?
$37,349. Second quote from Bunn, $73,540. $73,540. What's that?
How could we got this?
That's me.
Tight area, so however they plan on doing it.
You think you typed that wrong? You meant 37?
Oh,
Even if you did, he's high.
Must not want it. So, motion.
Motion to take that under advisement. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
That's all we got.
That's all you got. Okay. Carrie?
Not quite. It's coming though.
Actually, while you're coming up here, let's do one other thing, because you got a couple of things. We need to make Dan McGill, Police Officer Dan McGill, we need to remove him from a probationary status. He's got his 1 year in on December 10th. So, he graduated Law Enforcement Academy, got 1 year in. We can make this a matter of record? Is that just making it a matter of record, or we need to approve it?
We need to take him off.
I make a motion that we approve. Is it Dan McGill?
Yeah,
Dan McGill.
I'll second that, yes.
Daniel McGill, yes. Okay, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And you got a copy of it, right, already? Okay, that's that. Pick off these little things here.
McGill, MC.
MC capital G-I-L.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Carrie. Carrie has she has a couple of things, I think. First, she wants to spend some money also.
Yes, I would like to. I have a state bid for a new truck for the wastewater department. It's a 2020 Silverado crew cab, two-wheel drive. The bid is, state bid is $26,367.
Man, I wish I could buy on those state quotes.
So it replaces the vehicle.
It's going to replace hopefully two. I've got two vehicles that have over 136,000
So
miles.
where do they go?
One is already sitting as a lot at the street garage waiting for an auction. The other one we're using at this time. We'll probably continue to use until we get this, which they said it would be delivered in February.
Okay. That's a separate conversation I want to have about excess vehicles. It doesn't really pertain to it.
How about your vehicle? How old is it?
My
The one you drive.
vehicle is a...
You got a quote for it too?
I don't. It is a 2003. These others are a 99 and a 2001.
Okay, yours is a 2003.
Yeah.
Wow, it's been around a while.
It's the next one on the list. I'm a little leery right now driving it. It's making some funny noises, but Tubby's going to look at it at some point.
All right. Okay, so we got, she's looking for permission to buy a 2020 Silverado crew cab for $26,367 to actually replace a couple of vehicles out at the waste treatment plant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second to approve purchase. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Who's that guy you got sitting there with you?
Mark with me tonight. We've been talking chloride compliance. I've mentioned it to you guys in a few emails. Mark's going to talk to you about some of the options that we have moving forward. Starting in March 1st of 2020, we will have a chloride limit on our NPDES permit. At the rate that we are going now, we will violate that at least around 48% of the time. So that's 6 months out of the year.
Not good.
Yeah, not good at all. So I had,
But, where are we going with this?
yeah,
Yeah.
we've talked to Mark about looking to be upfront with item and say, okay, this is what we're expecting. The water plant is in the works. So he's going to discuss on that a little bit.
I've had preliminary discussions with IDEM to at least alert them. today we discussed it as a group. Our game plan is to contact IDEM in January and at least keep them abreast of our efforts. The problem is IDEM will probably not make any commitment back to the city until we actually violate. They're not going to play that hand or that card. But we want to, at least on our end, demonstrate to them the effort that's being made. And they're going to easily see the effort that the city has made through Phase 1, a $9 million project, and Phase 2 that we're going to talk later is another $9 million. It's not as if the city's sitting on your hands. You're being proactive. The dilemma and the problem is Phase 1 will be complete around April. We'll start up the new plant. We're going to try to maximize and do everything we can with the new plant to try to reduce the chlorides. But your entire system is based on not only the new East Side plant, but the Winchester Street plant that's being renovated. There's another year to get it renovated, so we probably won't be at final capacity or final treatment capability until 2021, somewhere in that range, which we're going to keep IDEM abreast of it. Quite frankly, we're on shaky ground because of that interim till we can get both plants operating and get the old Monroe Street plant, which generates tons of salt, into the system, get it offline and get it abandoned. All we can really do on our end is demonstrate to them that we're being proactive, keep pushing ahead as fast as we can to try to get those improvements made, and just try to work closely with them. My experience has been, even though they may be tight-lipped at this time, I think they do appreciate a city and a community that's being proactive and moving forward. So I think that's definitely in your favor. So all I know to do at this point is to keep them in the loop, keep giving you guys feedback and Carrie feedback, as things progress, and try to think out of the box over the next summer of ways that we can lean heavily on the new plan as much as we can and try to minimize, the salt and the implications the best we can into the system. So at this point, there's no real conclusive answers. It's just to keep you guys apprised that that we're definitely aware of the situation, and we want IDEM to be aware of our efforts to keep moving forward.
Is there any way to use less salt at the old plant?
Some of that's
just not an option at all.
When you say the old plant, you mean Monroe?
Monroe. Yeah.
Well, my goal, and I haven't entirely went over all this with Bill, but one of the things that I think we do, the new plant's designed to run about half a day in the perfect situation when Winchester's up and running. Both plants will operate a portion of the day. One of the things we did in the sizing of plants is to try to, if we would lean heavily on East Side plant, run it as much as we can for a day, and then only during peak water demand times we'd have to rely on Monroe Street. So based on that, we may be able to get that salt number down. But until we can actually complete Phase 2, we're still,
So there's no way, though, just to cut back on the amount?
Probably not, because what's going to happen is your customers are going to notice it.
Yep.
And the problem is, and I don't know that there's any equation for how quick this happens, but as water starts getting harder, the public's going to compensate and try to soften themselves.
Yep.
That was my question.
Yep.
And when that happens, as a community, we lose control over trying to control the salt. So we're better off to try to control it ourselves, take our lumps, produce that good water for the community, but still keep control over the salt the best we can.
I guess my
Yes,
question
Craig.
would be, contamination to the sewer, we've got 2 plants, and they're pushing clean water to the community. Now, everybody's got softeners, or not everybody, but a lot of people have got softeners that are using salt. I'm wondering what percentage of the actual consumers are sending chloride to our plant instead of just our plant? Is there any, I don't want you to go into a big
No.
study, but I just wondered if you had some kind of idea.
I think that's a very good question, Craig. And I think you've got some high volume users out there that we need to figure out how to address that with them and address it from a standpoint that it doesn't drive them out of business. But I think that's a very valid question, because we can do all we can do on the municipal level to try to treat the salt, but there are still other users, primarily industrial type customers, that it may warrant doing a little more investigating to see what they're...
The only other question I would have would be on educating them on the hardness of our water. I don't know how often it would need to be. How often are you testing it, Bill? I mean, does it range?
4 times a day.
You're testing it 4 times a day. How often do you think it would be to let our huge water users, or at least our public, know, either in a water bill monthly, or say, hey, like, by the way, turn your water softener down. We're not at 14 grains anymore. We're at 12. I mean, you think that public would react, or you think industry would react to something like that if we just kept them abreast?
You guys may know better than I, but I think the ones that are softening need it extremely soft, beyond what would be a good municipal level. So I think they're doing it out of necessity for their process. So, again, I think that's a bridge we need to cross down the road. I think we need to look at it from a regulatory standpoint. Are the city's ordinances where they should be? But it's going to have to be a little give and take with your industries in town to figure out, so that they at least understand the problem it causes the municipal level, the problems it causes carryout at the wastewater.
The reason I brought this up is I was out to Dean Foods yesterday and talked to Tom Gray, his plant manager, and they're doing their own, they have to take care of their water before they send it to us.
Pre-treatment.
Pre-treatment, they have their own plant, and it just basically costs them $1 million a year. I'm wondering, and I know they have foaming and stuff because it's ice cream, but I'm just wondering, are they one of the big people that...
I don't know that they have to soften their water.
Well, I'm just saying they treat it. I'm just wondering, communication, are they like one of our larger water users that would have to have soft water? Okay.
They are the only industrial user in town.
Okay.
So they're the only ones required to have their own pre-treatment.
See, I just was thinking about that the last few days and stopped out to talk to Tom about that, because I remember you mentioning 48%.
And I may have misspoke by calling them industrial. I probably should have used the word commercial. Other than, I wanted to give the impression that there are some large volume users that do additional softening beyond what would be considered the municipal residential level.
Mm-hmm.
But they also treat their water going out too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, before they send it to the plant.
Exactly. And now they have a new system. They put a new system in about 4 or 5 years ago,
Okay.
and it's even better. That functions even better.
Who else
But-
treats a lot of water? Bilko, Dalton, Prime, Hospital.
Prime also has a pre-treatment facility. They're not required to, but they...
Is that Prime Car Wash? Is that
Truck wash.
truck wash?
Hospital,
I don't know the extent and how much, but I know they do soften the water.
Do the 2 car washes, the major car washes.
I'm sorry?
Don't think so.
Do the car wash.
I just wonder if the 2 major car washes, like Kelly and Andy's.
That I do know. I don't know.
They do soften. They do.
I would think they offer a spot-free rinse, but
makes chemicals go further.
it doesn't. It's not always spot-free. But
Well, anyway, thank you.
yeah.
I appreciate that, and thanks for answering the question.
This increased volume of sewer, would that dilute?
Yes.
The fact that we've got more coming in from the regional sewer, is that going to have an impact to reduce fluoride levels by diluting it?
But most regional sewer district users, I would say, have a water softener.
Because your own wells.
Yeah, the dilution comes from stormwater getting into sanitary lines, and we're trying to remove stormwater.
Yeah.
And chlorides has always been a problem.
Other municipalities having the same problem, Mark? Just our water.
The discussion.
Some do, but it's more industrial related, the communities that I see. This corner of the state, battles it because of the hard water and the need to soften. So we don't really see it other places in the state because we don't see a lot of softening in other parts of the state.
Aren't there new like reverse osmosis,
There
like
is.
big money setups that don't even use salt?
That's correct. That's correct. And we discussed that twice today, and we used the analogy that those are built out of gold. It can be done. They're extremely pricey.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that we're doing what we're doing with the treatment at the water plant, where we're using a two-phase softening process. The first phase does not use salt at all and basically knocks the hardness down in half and gets it down. The problem is that first stage can't take it all the way down to where we want it. It's just not that efficient of a process. But it can knock it down far enough so that the ion exchange softeners are what typical softeners that you would think of for your homes that use the brine water, at least gets us down low enough that when those take over and bring it down to the level we want, it reduces greatly the salt usage that we generate, or the waste salt brine. So, but I think there may be some merit in some further discussion, maybe after going into the warmer weather next year, of maybe trying to monitor and start trying to even identify at least what's the magnitude of the salt usage from other sources beyond the city. It'll be good information to have down the road.
Well, once you get online, you'll know how much we knock it down.
Yeah.
And that'll give us more of a feeling on what we can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what other people are using, so.
Well, we just wanted to take the opportunity to at least keep you apprised and give you an update, and hopefully we'll get some feedback from the state in January when we attempt to talk or meet with them then.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mark, for your...
Got two other short things to take care of, and then we'll let Kevin and Mark wrap up the meeting, because theirs might take a little while, depending on how many questions we have for Mark. I passed around a little map there. The streets around Hannah-Nutman. Tim, if you want to talk about them a little bit. The one on the west end is Beal Drive. I don't know if it's ever been dedicated as that, but
Yeah.
that was named after Lawrence Beal back in the mid-'70s. He was a guy that was kind of Rube Wynn's right-hand man back in the day, and he was struck by lightning and killed. And I just remember because I was a young adult at the time that they named it Beal Drive. And this is right off Google Maps. It says Beal Drive. And then obviously Washington Street and Myver Street to the north and south. But to the right there behind McQuick's and McKean's, that currently is not a street. We want to dedicate it as a street, and we need a name for it before we can do that. If anybody has any brilliant ideas, I would just think maybe like Hannah-Nutman Drive or something, or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, and if I can interject, the reason we're doing this, Brent Miller's working on a plat of the streets. He's going to establish right-of-ways for where the streets are located now, as well as the street behind McQuick and McKean's. And I'll tell you why we're doing it, because we can't find a right-of-way for Jackson Street, and I've been dealing with another issue on whether a street exists, and that's at Crick Street at Cottonwood Estates. Somehow the county at one time showed a 26-foot strip along certain lots as Crick Street. I can't find anything in city records, in the county records, that show that there was ever a dedication of a public way that of that 26 feet and called Crick Street. It's just not there. And it has come up, if you remember, Mr. Koss kept 4 or 5 lots that he's trying to sell to a credit union, and they want that designated as a city street. And I told him I cannot certify that it's a city street. There's nothing in our records that shows that. I referred it to the plat engineer at the county. Mike Whirling for him to look and see why they showed it as Crick Street to begin with. I think it was just an error. I think somebody saw Crick Street on the west or the east side of 11th Street, and it kind of lined up with this 26-foot strip, so they just called it Crick Street. I don't think there's any basis for that. So it's never been maintained. There were never any Crick Street addresses in the mobile home park. But my point is, we need to make sure that we document the location of streets here so that 30 or 40 years from now, somebody's trying to figure out how did these streets come about. And the second reason is, by doing this, it allows Jeremy to include these on our street inventory, and it gives us a little extra money when it comes to paving and that sort of thing. So I'm anticipating that Brent will get that plat to us. It'll come to the Board of Works because the city owns the property, so the Board of Works will sign the Mylar as the owner, and then that'll get referred to the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission will review it, make a recommendation to council, and then ultimately council will approve it. All the bodies will sign the Mylar, and then it gets recorded, and once that's done, it's dedicated. Okay? In order for Brett to finish that Mylar up, we need a name for this street that runs behind McQuick and McKean.
Is there any discussion or questions as to why we want to make that a street, not just leave it an alley? Do we all understand why we would like to make it a street? Okay. Tim?
Well, actually, what I would suggest, North 14th Street. North 14th Street. That's, all those streets end, if you look at the...
They're all numbered streets going north
They
and
all
south.
end at Washington Street.
How about East Park Drive?
Park Drive. We have Park Drive somewhere, right?
Park Street. We have Park Street, Park Place, and Park View.
I'm just saying it lines up with 14th Street.
It,
But
Totally indifferent.
Tim wants to know now.
I need to give an answer to Brett for him to finish it up so that it can come back to the Board of Works.
I do agree that, Cam, you're right. I mean, all the north-south streets, for the most part, are the numbered streets in the city, and not names. They're numbered, and it does line up with what would
it'd
be...
be easy to
14th.
find.
Although Southampton isn't 15th, it's Southampton.
Well, but when you go on north of North Washington, that's when you get to Madison and St. Louis. That's where they all stop. The end.
Everything south of Washington is a numbered street.
That sounds
Does it line up with 14th Street down
Awful close.
very close? Okay.
And that's south of Madison. From 14th Street doesn't start until Madison. I'm not really advocating, I'm just saying it.
Mhm.
Simple solution.
14th Street goes all the way to Waterbury.
Well, right, but it doesn't start until,
You got any preferences, Jeremy?
So the way Roger and I have done them in the past is we just looked them up and see how they've lined up. But you can do that.
I mean, do you like 14th? Do you like Hannah Nutman Drive? Do you...
Definitely more easier to recognize.
Easy to figure out.
Yeah, to figure out.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
I don't want to call 14. You make the motion.
You don't want to.
you make a motion to what you want to call it.
No.
Hey.
You already shot me down.
Go ahead.
You make the motion.
I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion that we name it 14th Street.
I'll second that.
North 14th Street. Bill second. Street. All in favor? Aye. Okay, it's 14th Street, North 14th Street.
I did.
All right, I'll let Brett know, thank you for making that decision.
Yep, that's that. And then one last
Is there another
thing.
one too you gotta make? You gotta name any other streets tonight?
Not now.
One last thing before we have Kevin and Mark come forward. We need to make a matter of record. Jeremy submitted all the claims for Brooks Construction for the community crossing grant for all the paving he is okayed it. Phyllis says it looks good, and I'd like to make that a matter of record. That we want give me the okay to sign off on it.
And we're actually under
I'll make a motion that we approve Brooks paving.
Right here.
They're all done, you say, Jeremy?
Sticker, I need you to...
I think they did a pretty nice job.
They come in about 11,000 under
Nice touch. Can you use that for next year?
Nope. Not with NDOT. These are several copies.
Who made
Had to give it back.
Did you make
I
the
make a motion.
No, I didn't use...
Bill, did you second it?
Yeah, that's fine.
We had, yeah, but
Was that voted on?
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Yeah.
You right here then, Phyllis? Okay, and you're going to submit for community crossings again, right, Jeremy?
Yep.
We got our plan.
Everything has been updated and submitted to LTAP. The lines that we're going to have to get. Butler, Thurman, Cypher, by January 1, we'll have our road inventory completed. So hopefully we can get with Brett Miller and submit those last two prior to January 1, or we can do a separate submittal.
It's got to be done by when? Prior to January 1?
We can do it at any point, but we're going to go ahead and submit what we have here probably in the next few weeks, whatever it gets in Parkland. We may add south, or excuse me, north 14th and Lighters.
You can amend it and then add those? Okay.
You can submit at any point, but we're just doing a master review at this point, and if it's done, we're adding on. If not,
Yeah.
we can send it back to the first of the year.
Okay.
Okay. The last thing we have, we got you half an hour, Kevin. Mark, if you need it. While they're coming forward, well, Kevin's coming forward. 2 weeks ago when Kevin came forward, I tended to lose my cool, and I was angry, and I want to apologize to everyone present that was here at that time for how I conducted myself. So I apologize. Thank you. Kevin, go ahead.
Mark's here again. We're going to talk a little bit about, we got some pictures up on the screen too, how Phase 1, the water plant's coming, and then get into a little bit of what Phase 2 entails, and then wrap it up with talking about our rate increase that's coming in January. I don't know if you want to start or...
Yeah, I can real quick. I'll be brief. I wanted to just...
Lenny, see if you can help that man out there. Go ahead, sorry.
I just wanted to kind of give you an update on Phase 1, and then, like Kevin said, kind of give you a preview of Phase 2. I think the easiest way to give a preview of Phase 1 is just to see pictures, and it's moving right along. I looked at the pay claim for last month, and we were just under 50% complete by dollars last month, so I would say in another week or so at your next meeting when the pay claim comes through, we're going to be in excess of 50, maybe 60% complete. Tentatively, and this isn't set in stone yet, but they're kind of looking towards a startup date somewhere in April of next year. April, maybe May, but late spring or middle spring. So it's coming right along. We can go ahead and flip through the pictures. That's the main building. This is the maintenance building that sits just north of...
That your building, Bill?
The treatment building. Yep. That took shape fast. Keep going. Just different angle. That's from the north looking to the south of the treatment building. Kind of the same angle. That'll be the front entrance on the north end where we'll come in and the lab and the offices, and then the back part is where all the treatment tanks, back in the taller portion, is where the pellet softeners, the retard tanks, The softeners themselves are in that room, and then the horizontal pressure filters will be sticking out of the west wall. Tanks. That's the pellet softeners, the conical tanks that you see. Those are, if I remember right, 24, 26 foot tall. So they're fairly tall tanks, and there'll be stairs going up to them, and so that men can go up and access into the top of the tanks and look in. I think today they were setting the ion exchange softeners, so I think the crane pictures are moving the softeners. Hey Bill, clarification, are those the softeners sitting on their side there that we're seeing?
Yeah, you'll see a few pictures that I took today.
So that's the new softeners that they're moving into the building. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get them in before the sides were put on, so they'll have to take them in through the garage doors, but they were designed so that they can fit through the doors. They just had to lay them down on their side and take them in.
They do have asphalt all the way around the building and drive, for the majority of the drives. They're not dragging mud in and out of the building all winter long, too.
Yeah, the contractor's done an outstanding job. They hustled up to get the building enclosed so that the wintertime work is indoors now, and like Kevin said, you can see some of the black asphalt where they got a lot of the base asphalt down so that they are not tracking around through mud and stuff. So they've been very good at just moving this thing forward and getting it done.
Happy with Kekosing?
Yeah,
Yes, very much so.
they've done an outstanding job. We work with a lot of different contractors around the state, and these guys just do an outstanding job. Top of the list. That's a good view. You kind of see the building starting to take shape.
Starting to be enclosed, yeah.
Up on this end that's still open is where the new lab will be, and to the far side is some chemical storage rooms, but the big tall part, it's enclosed and really taking shape. So that's a good view, seeing the main entrance end of the front.
Looks cool.
So that being said, I think it's very realistic that springtime they're going to be getting close to being able to put this thing into operation and get it working and making water. The big blue tank is this kind of shows the tanks. Those are the internal. Those are the recarb tanks, I think, that after we come out of the pellet softeners, I'm a little distorted from here, but they look like they're round. The big blue tank outside is a detention tank. After we come through the first set of softeners, it'll fill into this tank, and then out of this tank down through the horizontal pressure filters, then out through the ion exchange softeners and on into the system. But like I started to say, I think it's very realistic that we'll have phase one under control. There you can see the new softeners, the ion exchange softeners starting to go in through the door and into the building. We met today and we're really focusing and really stepping up the pace towards phase two. And things are going to really start moving towards phase two. In our discussions with your rate consultant, bond counsel, Kevin, Tim, we were looking at some timelines and some schedules. We anticipate to have shooting to have costs from Kekosing for the phase two improvements around the 1st of February, late January, early February. Phase two, to refresh everybody's memory, what it includes is the primary project is the renovation of the Winchester Street plant. It's got old filters, old softeners, all those are going to be gutted and replaced. It's going to be a similar process to what you see here, again trying to reduce those chlorides that are discharged into the system. So as soon as we can start on phase two construction, which should be early summer, it'll be taken out of service and then the entire plant gutted and completely redone. It's during that interim of next year while we're gutting and redoing Winchester that was the discussion that we had with Kerry, that interim of trying to trying to limit our chloride production the best we can until we can get the Phase 2 project complete. The other part of Phase 2 is the renovation of the raw water main that comes from the burn pumps. There are 2 wells east of Burn that feed clear up to the Winchester Street plant. And what is that, 12 miles, Bill?
8 miles.
Well,
it's 12 miles, but
11, 12 miles from the wells all the way up to Winchester Street. The south portion of that raw main, basically from the wells to just on the north side of Monroe, is old ductile iron pipe, and the goal is to replace that. We are looking at paralleling and just putting a new parallel main next to it. Originally, we had toyed with lining and doing some fancy rehab. We've come to the conclusion it's going to be more cost effective because we can take the Winchester plant completely out of service. We can just abandon the old one, dig in at one next to it. The other thing is you do supply water to Monroe, so it allows that old main to stay in service to Monroe while the new main's being constructed. So as part of the cost estimates that I talked about having pulled together by around the 1st of February will be an estimate for the replacement of that main and the replacement or the renovation of the Winchester Street plant. That will get us actual numbers that then we can feed on to your rate consultant and then make financial decisions of exactly what we do as we move into Phase 2. So that's just a real quick overview. So Phase 2, Winchester Street, raw main, and that'll commence once we finish the Phase 1 that we're looking at pictures of. If anybody has any questions, I'll answer any questions as to the scope, but that was just kind of a quick overview.
So everything's clean and new pipe from north of Monroe up to the Winchester plant, right? I remember seeing that put in 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, that was replaced.
How big is that pipe? Is that 18 or 16 or 12? What is that? 12, okay.
12 that way. And the pipe we're talking about, coming out of the wells, currently it's 24 till it comes over to Burn. When it turns to go north, then it's 20-inch pipe that comes up past Monroe. So
The newer stretch pipe
isn't that what I said, Bill?
we're lining?
I'm sorry.
We're going to reline that new stretch pipe?
No,
we're not.
We're not doing anything.
No, we're putting new pipe in.
No, the new stretch.
Monroe and Winchester now.
No,
Need it?
no,
Okay.
we're not doing anything to that. And really, that's been pretty trouble-free, to my understanding.
Good.
So,
So, all said and done, the Monroe Street plant will go away,
Correct.
yes.
demolished, and be nothing there?
The plans aren't finalized for what we're doing with that, but yeah, it will be out of commission.
It will be, not used,
Yeah.
but the actual fate of whether it's
on
demolished.
the flood plan, it'll probably just go bye-bye.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Just tie some pipes together and close the loops from there?
Around Monroe?
Yeah, Monroe Street plant.
Yeah,
So
we'll just
pipe it in and close the loop, and because I know it's the hub, right?
Well,
But we just completely take it out of
we'll just
commission.
completely take it out.
Put valves out there and shut it off so water don't go to it or from it.
Shut her down, yeah.
And all those wells that we're getting the water from out there, it's on Buchanan's land, we just kind of
Those will be cut off. and
cut them
sealed.
off and...
Those sealed and abandoned.
Yeah.
We have 4 new wells out at the east side plant. Those are having pumps. Pumps may already be installed on them, I believe.
Yes.
I saw one.
They'll be building well houses around them, and but they're going to be operable soon. Yeah, there you go. You see.
When you get to Monroe, are we just gonna valve them in and they can pull off this new pipe that we got coming up there too, or are we just gonna let them have the old black iron pipe?
No, we'll probably ultimately abandon that old pipe.
Feed them off us?
Yeah, we haven't finalized the thought process on that or whether we leave it, but usually when you take something out of service like that on potable water, it's too difficult to reinstate it and disinfect. And so I would say the intent would be off of the new main that comes up, we'll just tap them over off of that, and the switchover will be quick. Initially we were concerned about how we would keep water to them while we were doing the lining. This eliminates that difficulty. We just build the new one right on up to there, and when we're ready, within a few hours, they can make that cross connect over to the new main and have that operable.
Has been an open high water from us.
Yeah, it's not all their water, but a portion of it, yeah.
They have their own water plant down there then that they treat it with?
Yeah.
I never knew they had.
It's all overall water.
Where do they get the rest of their water?
They have one well.
They have wells, so.
They have some
Yeah,
wells.
they have 1 or 2 wells, yeah.
Yes, Monroe has one well. If we'd slick line, the concern was that IDEM would require them to have a redundant well, so they'd have to drill a new well. So that's where we thought about, the thought process was to go ahead and parallel that old line with a new line and keep feeding them water with the old line until it was in.
Anything else you think I need?
No.
So that's an overview of everything.
So, I'll give you guys this too, just to give you a breakdown. We'll go over this again, council. So this just explains, this is the phase 2 of our water rate increase. Rather than have one increase back in 2018 for the whole project, we decided to phase it in 2 different increases. So this is just something I worked up today. It's just it shows what the minimum bill is currently and what it'll go to beginning January 1st. And then our average household size in Decatur uses 400 cubic feet. Residential, they use 400 cubic feet of water, so that shows what their average household bill is. And then I even put my house, what my average bill is, and what mine will go to as well.
Well.
So it's, on the total bill, it's under 10%, it's just about a 9% income increase. On the water portion, it's a 27% increase.
27% on the water,
On the water.
water tax and fire
Which
protection.
includes the fire protection that goes up with it, and the tax goes up accordingly.
And then how much did you say, 9% roughly, if you look at the
Yeah.
whole picture?
Yeah, about 9%.
Okay. This is very good, Kevin.
Thanks. Any questions on this before we?
How did you, I know you talked about last time, that identifying the meters that don't work, is that based on 2 months of being the same, or?
That is, yeah, that's just over the last month. Me personally and another person going out reading meters and realizing they had stopped at some point. Or there's no way of accessing the readout. This has nothing to do with that, but,
I just
yeah.
got me thinking,
Yeah.
'cause I got one of those letters saying that my meter's bad.
Yeah,
I did too.
yeah.
My water bill jumped up too.
My water bill jumped up, but I didn't look at the bill close enough, maybe I got a bad meter.
It's a separate insert
Yeah.
that tells you
Yeah,
that.
we're inserting the ones that are bad, or the meter may not be bad, but there's no way to read it. Go into your utility room with the read.
So we cut that line going all the time. That's what it was.
Okay, well, any other questions for
This
the...
takes care of phase 2, too, in theory?
Yes, yes.
As long as that doesn't come back way over the top.
Which we've already had a rate study done, so depending on what the numbers come back as and depending on what our final numbers are at the end of this year, depends on the amount of money we're able to receive. So this will likely be,
You mean you think an actual bid could come in higher than an engineer's estimate?
Well, that'd be a first, wouldn't it?
Any other questions for Kevin or Mark? Mark's going to hang around and do another presentation for the public at the council meeting, similar to this. If not, believe it or not, I got a text message just a few minutes ago that there was one more thing on the agenda that I forgot, and that was from Lenny.
Yeah.
Lenny, come on up and fill the Board of Works and council members in on, this is on the hiring of the next officer. I think he's already emailed Board of Works guys, right?
Well, with one officer retiring, we opened up an application process beginning November, and we only had 9 applicants. We heavily advertised our department and we had our physical agility written test, and 4 was able to pass. So, not good, but we did have a couple of good applicants, and we had those interviews last night. I talked to you yesterday morning before the interviews, and I believe Deputy Chief Bright talked to Bill, and then Craig Koshaw showed up during the interview process. And after much talk with the detectives and myself and Chris and Craig and to you other Board of Works members, we would like to go forward and hire Dennis Bosler. Dennis Bosler is a 29-year-old man who's originally from Winchester, Indiana, but has been living in Decatur for quite a number of years. He's married, lives on Stevenson Street, and he has a good credential, a law enforcement background. He's currently working at the Allen County Jail as a confinement officer for 5 years. Very good work record there. Passed everything with flying colors. Has a lot of the police officer training right now as far as defensive tactics, taser, CPR. So he does have a lot of credentials. So we would like to make the motion to get him started, hired. And
What brought him to Decatur?
he met a girl from Adams Central, and they ended up moving to Decatur like, yeah. Yes.
Good.
So I'm looking for a motion if we can move forward and hire Mr. Bob.
Dennis.
I'll make a motion that we hire him.
I'll second that.
Before we vote, Craig, you were at the interviews, right? You were
Yes.
impressive?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to hire Dennis Bosler as the next officer, and that would be pending him passing the perf physical, which you've got set up for next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday, we have to have them down there by 7 a.m. I did get a phone call from them today. They are closed the last 2 weeks of December. So I will not get the results back till probably the second week of January.
Okay.
So,
And at that time, as soon as you get the results, then he can...
yeah, so it's going to be it's a long process, but the holidays, I knew it was going to be a rush because a lot of officers are retiring, and then now they're getting new ones,
Right,
applicants.
right.
Phyllis, if you could, in that motion, would you just put in there under the recommendation of Lenny Crow? Chief Lenny Crow. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Opposed? Thank you.
And just to let you know, just throw this out there, one of the officers come to office today, and he put in for Fort Wayne PD. I don't want to name the officer, but he's going through the hiring process. So he kind
So
of...
here we go again.
Yeah. So
Is
it
it
wasn't
the
that
same
he
one as
doesn't
last
like...
time?
What's that?
Same officers last time?
Correct. He's given another crack again, and nothing against our department, but the package up there, that's what's kind of luring him. So possibly could be another hiring because our academy starts in January. So just want to prepare you for that in case it does happen. So
Lenny, how do you spell his last name?
Bosler. Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Lenny.
Thank you.
Tim or Phyllis, either one of you have anything? Bill, Craig? No? If nothing else, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned for 10 minutes.